Okay, here we are. Here we are in Australia. Oh, let's go. G'day. I'm not going to say how are you because I know already. Anyway. We're all in it together. My name's Chris Quinlan. It's Melbourne Musos on a pretty dark couple of weeks and a dark couple of months to come. We still have to press on and we still have to stick together. I'll get my plugs right. I'm always having trouble with these damn plugs. God, you should be better at it right now, Chris. God help me. But anyway, what it is I've started something up for everyone. I've started a GoFundMe page called Facechook for Firies. So I'm going to do what I've always done, okay? And I'm going to. I've got a whole lot of solo here. Brian Bennett, The Shadows, Little B from Ian Bettridge. How are you, Ian? There you go. And I've got something from our dear mate Marcus, the Dirty Double Dipper, but he's only dipped once today. But what it is if you glean something from this, if you like something that I do, if it's something you'd like to buy me a beer for, don't buy me a beer. Put it into Facechook for Firies. Just donate. Whatever you do. Okay, so this is what this show is all about. So it's Melbourne Musos, Facechook for Firies. Little B, the Shads mate, Ian Bettridge, a couple of weeks ago. I'm sorry this is a bit delayed, but Little B is like the Shadows version, Brian Bennett's Moby Dick, or anything like that, or Carl Palmer's Tank for you, Andrew, and all that sort of stuff, seeing we're big Carl Palmer fanatics and all that. And Little B is a great little Shadows song, and with a beautiful extended drum solo by Brian Bennett. I've got a couple of notes on Brian Bennett here. Where is he? Where is it? He's a composer and conductor as well as a drummer and all that. He is 79 and he's still going on. He has an OBE. Fantastic for his services to music, the Shadows. Okay, so that's it. Brian Bennett, all that sort of stuff. He's a composer and a conductor and all that. And that's a bit of a recurring theme with tonight's show because Marcus has asked me about a song as well with another drummer who's a composer as well. But I'll get to him in a bit later, Marcus. Okay, so here it is. Ian, this is for you. I'll get straight into it. There's an intro, right? It goes into it. Now, lovely little shuffle there. Why does that remind me of Blisters in the Sun or something like that? But anyway, it's got that kind of a feel about it. And then there you go. So you got that ba-dum-ba-boom. There's the B section, boom. This reminds me of tequila. That bell is for you, Scott Hayward. It's my Leo. It's my new. I'm calling that one Leo after Leo Kotke because it seems every time you do a little piece for me, I keep ending up hitting that in black and white. And there you go. I don't know why it keeps coming back like that, but there it is. Now that's the song, right? And there you go with that. Now what happens after that is that Brian Bennett goes into the snare thing, and this is a jazzy kind of thing. So he's got the 4 on the floor, feathered, I mean it's light. It's not like that. It's just 1, 2, 3, 4. Hi-hat on 2 and 4, so important. Right, both the right, both right, both right, both. And you put that lilt into it. Now what he sort of does there is a bit of a 2 and 2 is what I call it. It's a little bit like a 2-bar phrase but with a 2-beat fill. But the thing is the phrase is the fill. So you got to fill on the fill. Lucky fill. Anyway, so what happens here is you might have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. It's sort of a, it's not strict, but it is what it is. It's, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 4. So there's that. So what you've got there is a single stroke roll, and then you can put in some doubles or some roughs. A wop bop a loop bam a bam boom. Brian Bennett isn't really doing the splash hat there, but I sort of like it. Sort of thing. You get that. Now you got to remember that Little B is the late 50s. Okay, so you're talking about a fairly jazzy kind of solo there. So that's the first part. Okay. That kind of thing where he starts off the snare. So he's got that going, right? Jungle drums. Now where do you think he got that from? Genie Krupa. Okay. He's still doing the 4 on the floor. Now, Facechook, a couple of weeks ago, I think I was doing it, not last week, because I was napping on the couch. Sorry about that. I was having a grandpa nap, Christmas and all that business. I did something like 25,000 steps or something over about 2.5 days with a bunch of my mates, Marcus and Nick and Andrew and everybody else, and Marcus's dog Findy and all that sort of biz. I ended up by Friday having a bit of a snore in my backside. Anyway, there you go. So what happens is, a couple of weeks ago, I digress, what happens is that I was talking about getting around the drums and all that. So I'm going to start with the floor tom, right? What am I doing there? 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then what I did is, started to use odd number of strokes, and for that, hippopotamus, 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 Gina Lolla Bridget, 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 and I've gone on, yeah, you know. But this time, sort of an overlay effect. There's the basic 1. That kind of a thing there. Now I really first heard that with that kind of thing. Not so much from Gene Krupa, but he was the guy. I heard it through one of dear old Dad's Reader's Digest box sets, right? And it was all big band and all that stuff. And somewhere poked in, I was just going through it and all this sort of stuff. And next thing, hi, this is Tommy Dorsey, and this is Hawaiian War Chant featuring Buddy Rich. And I was like, bang, 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 bang. And he was doing this jungle, they call it jungle drums, right? And then he doubled up. This is what Brian Bennett's doing, right? Then he moves, Ian, he moves to the snare drum. So it's the same kind of deal. Now here's something I'd like to introduce to you. I did this on the show a decade ago, well over a decade ago, in the sense that I was trying to explain it to Melanie, one of my students. If you're watching, I'm not sure if you are, but it was a decade ago. We're still in touch. This is terrific. But what it is I was trying to explain it. She's just started laughing at me, and I said, "What you laughing for?" And it says, "Is this the belly button lesson?" And I've gone, "What do you mean a belly button lesson?" "Oh, well, it's the innies and the outies. You know, some people have got an innie and other people have got an outie. You know, that kind of thing there." So I'm going to explain what all that means. Okay, now, if I've got an accent study, a la Ted Reed's syncopation, which is all snare drum, right? So you've got... Good old H, my old teacher, he'd say, okay, Shagger. That's my nickname. Everyone had a nickname with H, you see. I had a friend whose nickname was Skid. We'll leave that for another day. Boom tish. Anyway, so what you've got is... There's your accent study, right? Okay. Now what happens? What happens, pardon me? What happens if you've got the right hand on the floor tom, like H used to tell me to do, and the left hand on the high tom? So. Now, this is Brian Bennett's little solo. I haven't lost the thread. I'm just explaining how it's done. And what happens is that's an outie, because the thing about it is that you've got your standard accent study, right? And then you go out, you know, like that. But you know, you could go an innie. What happens if I did what Brian Bennett is doing, right? And then move the accents to the snare drum. This is also John Henry Bonham's thing, because we all know the lick of the century. Well, when he moves in. Hey! See? But I'm not going to go into Bonham tonight. I've gone through Bonham ages. Every second Facechook is a Bonham thing. And there it is again. It bobs up. But Brian Bennett predates John Henry by at very least a decade. So Brian Bennett comes before Bonzo. So there you go. Let's stay on track. So what happens is there's that. And that, Ian Bettridge, is the C part, A, B, C. I've got to go up to J and K. So I better get a move on. And so the next bit is another Krupa-esque thing, but with percussion. Now, my dear friend Andrew is not feeling the best today. He was going to come out and be a guest with his hand percussion. Hello, Andrew. Get well. But maybe next week, hey? We'll do it. But I was going to get you in on this bit because there's added percussion by the other boys in the band or whomever. And it's very much based on a 2-3 clave. So what a 2-3 is, we've got bump, the bump, bump, chicka bump, 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 the bump, bump, chicka bump, bump. 2-3, that's a 3-2. That's the one that we know, like, faith, sort of thing, and all that sort of business. And I want candy, bump, the bump, bump, chicka boom, boom. But if you do it the other way around, bump, 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 go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. You got the other way around. So what he's got is now, what I've got to do here is do a few variations. To make it sound like more than, like a little percussion section, you see. So if I'm just going to do it basically, no problem at all. It's beautiful. See, I'm bringing slams. See, it's still 2-3. And then it seems to go into not quite a mambo, but nearly a mambo. So when we're doing a mambo, Viva Las Vegas, the fastest mambo in the world, huh? Where's the cape? I want Elvis's cape. I should get the Elvis glasses. The glasses of the king. Actually, it was only this time last year that the Elvis show on Channel 31 was following mine. Or was I following them? Anyway, I was surrounded by Elvises. Anyway, there you go. Now I'm playing. Anyway, but a more... maybe the right kind of tempo for a mambo is Mambo Italiano. That kind of a thing. Beautiful dance too. Bit up close and personal with the whomever you're dancing with and all that stuff. But I'm not going to do that. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to do something akin to what Brian Bennett was doing during Little B, in the sense that I'm going to take that. Now I'm going to play it for you very slowly as far as the sticking, all right? So it's right, both, right, right, left, left, right, both right, right, both left. Okay, get all that? Here's a version I did slower from earlier. Right, both, right, right, left, left, right, both right, right, both left. Okay, there you go. I'll put it up later. It's going to be there, so, slow it down. So it's right, both, right, right, left, left, right, both right, right, both left. See, I've already done it for you. Now I'm going to speed it up. But what I'm going to do, not only do you get the Desernex burger, Roxy and Elsewhere, Frank Zappa, side 4, 1974, I'm going to put them on toms. This is what Brian Bennett's doing. Right, both, right, right, left, left, right, right, I always wondered about that. You know how some drummers in their clinics do slow, medium, and fast. Why don't they do low voice, normal voice and chipmunk voice at the same time, rather than being always so goddamn serious all the time. Now I'm moving around. Now back to you, Ian Bettridge. With the snare drum solo, he gets into the presses. And there's a little bit of a call and response thing. That is something I did a little while ago. Now, that is made up of two things. You've got right, left, left. Right, left, left, right, left, right. Triplets, if you will. 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a... Notice that the accent is on the beat. 1 and a 2 and a 3. I call them a natural accent because it's the right hand. See? Now, what happens if I did right, right, left, right, right, left, right, right, left, right, left? 1 and da, 2 and da, 3 and da, 4 and da, 1 and da, 2 and da, 3 and da, 4 and da. Build it up. I did this a month ago, you remember? Some of you might remember. Can you see that? Right, left, left, that's all. Right, right, left. So, that's what Brian Bennett's doing. Then this bit. That bit there, that's sextuplets, 6 notes to a beat, 3 of them, and the funny thing about sextuplets, that's the way they're sounding. But funnily enough, because the time signature is cut time, they're really thought of more like just very fast triplets. I've talked about cut time before, but that's what goes on there. And it's like crash, crash, and does that a few times. And then he's back to the snare again, going fully sick. Back into it. Tequila. And it's not tequila, it's Little B. It just feels like it. And it's also a little bit like Blister in the Sun. So I'm wondering whether Little B was the catalyst for a couple of more classic songs. So there's that, and it's back to the tune, you see. And then it's got the big finish where he goes as fast as he can. And then... crotchet triplets. Carl Palmer would take his t-shirt off about now. And... here's a little thing that you can do too. This is an Ed Shaughnessy lick, who was the drummer for so many years with the Johnny Carson Tonight Show. He's the only drummer next to Louis Belson that really gave Buddy Rich a run for his money. You could see Buddy Rich was sweating with that famous drum duet they did. I've got, he's got you. Eddie's got you, mate. he's looked at it. It's a little bit like Rocky 3 or something, you know. It's like, I've got your measure. and all that sort of stuff. And what it is the Ed Shaughnessy thing. He called it the cod liver oil, probably because it gives us all the shits, but you can really feel it with your wrists, you see. Start with the press, morph into double strokes, single strokes, double press, double single, double press, double single, double press, double. Brian Bennett. Then he does, of course he does the slow down business. So he goes into a slow, sleazy finish, okay, with Little B, and that's what it is. There you go, and that's Little B. It's 6:26. I took the whole show to do Little B in Bettridge. There you go. Buy me a cyber beer, and I'm not wanting a beer, you know what I'm saying. You know, put the hand in the pocket, pull it out, and send it to the Firies. Because that's what this is all about. I had a great time working that out. It was a bit delayed. My apologies for that, Ian. It was just that you came in a bit late the first week, and then the second week I was sleeping. Anyway, there you go. Now, I'm running towards the end, but I have a couple of other things that I have to do. Dear Marcus, that's Des Moines and our regular double dirty dipper. How are you, mate? And I was coming to see you tonight, but we'll save that for another time. But what Marcus has asked for, and this is the connection between Brian Bennett and, of all people, Steve Presswich of Cold Chisel. Where do those two connect? They were both composers. And Marcus has a bit of a thing for melodic business because of his work. He's a beautiful melodicist. Is that even a word, Marcus? I don't know, mate. Anyway, there you go. You know what I'm getting at. And what it is with Steve Presswich of Cold Chisel, whether you liked him or not or anything, you couldn't get away from, Chisel and the Oils, all the bands of the 80s, it's the fabric of who we are, isn't it, after all? And even if you weren't there during those days, Mum and Dad's playing the records still, aren't they? That kind of thing. And sadly, Steve Presswich left us in 2011, brain tumour and all that sort of stuff. He's an English guy, moved to Adelaide. That's where my family is. Hi, family, over in Adelaide. And Marcus has asked me just to talk a little bit about his tune Forever Now. Okay, so I'll make that fairly quick. It's funny for me to say there's not a lot to it, because have a look at what I just did for Little B and Brian Bennett. There's a lot to it, but it's a drum solo after all, and it's one of the great drum solos, really, of the time. But I think, Marcus, that's what you're after, is the fact that this is a wonderful study of great feel. He wrote it, okay, and I'll just take you through a couple of things, I suppose. And funnily enough, Stephen Tocci, a few weeks ago, maybe a few months ago now, you were asking about the Afrobeat and stuff like that. And what happens is that when you're talking about Forever Now, it starts out with the intro, sort of thing. We all know it, but it's... Now, you've got a 4 on the floor, you've got a rim click, and what it is 1, 2, 3, 4, calypso. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, you see, which we know best as boom, 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 boom. But it's done like this, so you go, and it's a 2-bar phrase, so 1, 2, 3, 4, and go. a seat at the bar, she don't talk to anyone. And it goes like that for a while, and then forever now. By loneliness for the floor. Oh, my love. Oh, slipped. Sorry about that. And then what you've got is it goes back to that again. So. Couple of tiny frills, but you know, it's gorgeous. It suits the song beautifully. And there's a bit of a shift in the tempo too. They pull it back, they push it forward. It's really quite melodic in the way that he does that sort of stuff. So it's not like quantized, you know, sort of thing or anything like that. It just pushes a little bit, lilts back, comes up and breathes. It's beautiful, you know, that kind of thing. That's something glorious about this tune. Then it goes back into the next verse, but you've got just a bass drum on 2 and 4. So it says 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 3 and 4 and 1, 2 and 3 and 4, and so on it goes. And then it gets back into the thing again, and then back into the. He doesn't get that busy. Now that business there, a bit paradiddly. You know, now that's not the song. I'm just sort of saying the technique a little bit there. So I hope you get something about that. And then when it goes into the solo and bell. Bit of slice of Australian life is Forever Now. It's off the Circus Animals album, and there you go. So Marcus, that's for you. There you go. I did want to come and see you tonight. I don't know how I'm going to get there. It's Belgrave. It's the other side of town and all that. But anyway, next gig, which I believe is, when is it? Cirrus Crown has got their single launch coming up, and I'll let you know about that. So there you go. Now, I better wrap the show up because I'm actually not too bad on time. These Facechooks cheer me up. I think all of us have been in a hell of a state the last couple of days watching what's been going on. But we still have to move forward, you know, and just still do what we do, okay? And this is what I did. Okay, as soon as it really, it's been coming for ages. Everyone's been warning the shit out of people, you know, for months and months and all that. I'm sorry, I shouldn't say naughty words and all that sort of business, but it is. It's so incredibly frustrating and a kind of a betrayal, really, because there's some things that are just beyond politics, honestly. We're all paying for it now. There's going to be a whole bunch of things that's going to happen. You know, anyone who wanted a surplus, kiss that goodbye. We're going to go into a recession. You've got, everyone's worried about refugees and all that. Our own people are refugees now. You know, when you're seeing the scenes from Malakuta, it just reminded me of the evacuation of Dunkirk, you know, from World War II. That's exactly what it is, you see. So you've got to treat Mother Nature now like an enemy. I never wanted it to be an enemy. God help me. Anyway, there's my editorial. But the thing about it is what we can do is all put together something, okay? Some of us can't afford to do anything. Some of us have no money and all that, or are living from week to week. So the thing is, it's your wares. You can still, you know, volunteer for something or just work or put that in. And this is what I do, you know. I heard this line from, you know who, I don't hold a hose. Well, neither do I, dickhead. But I can hold a pair of drumsticks and I can put up a GoFundMe page, and the thing is, everything tonight, if you like what I did and all that, just click on the link and throw beer money at me, okay? I'm just going to go dry. That's what it is, you know, that kind of thing. Everything's going to change. And the best we can do is stick together and just do our best. We do our best at our drumming. For students, you've got to make your parents' money worth every cent. Study. Do it. There's no time for mucking around anymore. Have a look. And it's just life. Just do it. Anyway, there you go. What it is I'd like to thank Ian Bettridge for the Shadows, Little B. It's a constant source of joy to actually get asked to study something up that I went, I've never heard that tune before. I've never done this before. And then and funnily enough, everything seems to come together, because then I can talk about, there's this bit, then there's Gene Krupa, then there's this bit, there's the innies and the outies. You can still laugh. You know, you can still, you've got to laugh. You've got to, that's what camaraderie is about, you see. So that's what you've got to do. Anyway, and then, I was going to second Andrew Marshall to help me with the jungle rhythm in the middle of that, you see, because he wanted to talk about African drums and hand drums and stuff, and it was perfect. Okay, that'll be next time, Andrew. There you go. And then Marcus, Steve Presswich, Cold Chisel. What do you think? What's the continuity between the two? But they're both composers, and then next thing you know, I'm playing a kind of an Afro beat that Stephen Tocci asked me about a month and a half ago. And by the way, I have to thank you. And this is where it comes down. So far, the donations I have, I'd like to thank from the bottom of my heart Andrew Marshall, Alvin Guest, thank you, mate, Marcus, Stephen Tocci, Sharon Williams, if you're watching. Thank you so much for donating already. I apologise. As soon as I get back to the computer, if there's anyone else who's donated, thank you so much. But I also want to send a special thank you to Ali Lee, who's a dear friend of mine for many years. And we have a very close connection because of George Christie. And he's bobbed up. And he'll always bob up. He's always with us. He's always on my shoulder somewhere. And what it is tomorrow I'll get the George's famous Pink Princess drum kit to have here to hold on to for a while Ali finding somewhere to go and all that sort of business. I don't want to delve into that. It's none of my business. But the thing about it is, everyone has friends and you stick together, and that's what it's all about. So, my name is Chris Quinlan. This is Melbourne Musos Facechook Live. Okay, everything's about the weather, pardon the pun, but you still got to have a laugh somewhere. And I'm going to go off and basically get everything together. I was going to go out and see you, Marcus, and but I'm not sure if I can now. But what it is in lieu of that, I'm going to take my 4 cameras here, and I'm going to mosh it all together. And later on tonight, you'll get everything in a 4-camera shoot, stereo, HD, all of that business. Okay? So from the bottom of my heart, thank you for your support, but put it all towards the Firies and everyone who's affected by what's happening in Australia as we speak. Okay? And that's what this is for. So if you like what I did, donate to the little GoFundMe page that I did, Facechook for Firies. It goes to the CFA, and I don't touch a cent. It's one of those GoFundMe. It goes straight to the PayPal fund, and all I do is press a button when hopefully it gets to its target, and I can just send it straight through, no problems at all. So think of it like, gold coin donation at a gig or something like that. This is my gig, okay, and all that sort of stuff. So please do what you can, okay. Thank you so much. And everybody, Ian Bettridge, there you go. Brian Bennett, Marcus with one of the greats, Cold Chisel, Steve Presswich. I'm out of here, and thank you, everyone. Take care. I think we're all going to need to take care from now on. We've all got to look out for each other now. Okay, so this is what we do. Take care.